I'm happy that you decided to view this video about citing your sources in APA style. We'll talk today about why do we cite sources, about APA style format, the general details, in-text citations, the reference list, and also resources to help you. So why do we cite our sources? Number one, it's to avoid plagiarism. If someone creates a piece of artwork or a lyric or a sheet of music or does research and publishes it, then they want to get credit for that. So it is incumbent upon us as students and instructors to, and anybody really in general, to acknowledge the work of the people who created the sources that we are using. It's most important in college, and it is most important in life in general. It also shows the readers that the writer values high quality, accurate information from other sources, and those acknowledgments lend credence to your paper. It gives credibility to you as a researcher and a writer. So that's a good thing. Reference basics. Your references list is included on its own page at the end of the paper. So if you have 4 pages of text, remember it's always double spaced. If you have 4 pages of text, then you will start your 5th page for your reference list. You include it on the 5th page. Now there are times when Canvas or another learning management system may reformat your paper, and it has happened before, where it may reformat your paper and put the references maybe at the end of the last page, maybe on that 4th page. It happens sometimes. So that might be something to watch for. Every source that you use in your research has to be included in the references list. If you did not use a source, maybe you started with 10 sources of information and you only cited in text 6 of those sources. Do not include those other 4 that you viewed. Only include the ones that you cited in text, meaning in the body of your paper, in those paragraphs. You can just leave the sources that are not used, that you don't utilize. You can leave those out of your references list. Label your last page, references, in bold font, centered at the top of the page. You don't need to underline it. You don't need any quotation marks. The references on this particular slide is only there in quotations to offset it. It's not supposed to technically be that way if it's on a references list page. Also in this module, there are other details that you'll need to know about the process of citing sources. There are citation generators that will help you a great deal. They will generate your references list, and you can even choose the style or the format that you want. So if you want APA, then all you have to do is there will be a menu and you will choose APA style, and then you will type in the information, your bibliographic information, and then the system, the website, will format it for you. From those citations, you can then create your references list, and it will also create your, basically your references list for you, which is really nice. In-text citations, and this is another detail that is important. When you start with those 10 sources of information, go ahead and open up a Word document and include there's a section called References, and you can save all of the bibliographic information for all of your sources in that Word document that you're going to use for your paper to write your paper. And then everything is saved there. All of your bibliographic information is saved in your document. So you don't have to worry about keeping up with every scrap of paper that you use for your research and those kinds of things. You want to start at the very beginning of your process, recording, however you do it, even if you don't use Word, even if you write it down on various pieces of paper. Write down the author's name, the title, the year of publication, the city of publication, the publisher's name, and if you have a website, you need to record the date that you access the web page. And this is all of this type of information is included in the supplemental resources page that's also in this module. So this is not the only time you'll hear about that. When you use in-text citations, all information and or quotes from sources outside of your own brain, you will use in-text citations. Anything that is paraphrased, anything that is quoted will have an in-text citation. Do you need to use the same citation for every sentence? For example, if I have a whole passage of 5 sentences that have to do with Joe Smith's webpage, do I need to write Smith 2026 at the end of every sentence? No. Wait to cite that source until the very end of the passage that deals with Joe Smith's website. If you happen to have 2 sentences and one is credited to one source and the second one is credited to another source, then you'll want to cite those because those are different authors. But if you are just using the same author for 4 or 5 sentences, just cite it once at the very end of the 5 sentences or the 4th sentence or whatever, like that. When you're paraphrasing, meaning putting the work into your own words, you'll also paraphrase, you'll also cite that because you didn't come up with that from your brain. Finally, for your reference list, from the beginning, save all relevant information, as I said before. Delete them if you don't use those sources, and every source that you cite in your paragraphs in the body of your paper has to be in the reference list. All text in the reference list must be double spaced, just like in the body of the paper. And your website or Word will create your references list for you. And if you've chosen APA style, it will create that hanging indentation for you. But what the hanging indentation means is that the first line is at the very margin of your page. And then all subsequent lines are of the particular entry are indented 5 spaces. And then you start with the next entry, and that first line is also against the margin, and then there may be other lines of the same entry that are indented 5 spaces. There are images of that and explanations on the websites that are included on the resources page. And then this is the supplemental resources page that I mentioned. I hope that helps a little bit. And if you have questions, I would suggest asking a librarian or your instructor for his or her preferences. Have a great day.